What's the creepiest or scariest scene in a non-horror movie? The spiders falling from the sky in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Ron losing his shit during that scene was the best. From angry indignation to having to follow the spiders to just communicating through squeaks and whines. Hysterical. E.T., toward the end when they find him and he's all white looking. As a young child, seeing that really traumatized me. Every part of that movie with E.T. scared me as a kid. I wasn't about to trust no alien. They shouldn't have helped him go home. Couldn't they see he was here on an intelligence gathering mission? He and his friends came back in the sequel. It was called Independence Day. The bear in Annihilation. That thing was pure nightmare. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you know, you know. Musical notes. There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. Musical notes. That one episode of SpongeBob with the gorilla. Not the one with Nosferatu. https://uta.b/xp62k. That guy hit with the toxic sludge in the original RoboCop. Don't touch me, man. Not sure if this qualifies, but the scene in The Lovely Bones where the girl is talked into checking out the clubhouse built by her to-be killer, this movie often gets a lot of undeserved hate, I feel. I was entranced and horrified by it. To me, it was just too realistic. The movie was based on a book, and the author was assaulted herself. She wrote a memoir, Lucky, about her experience. So, unfortunately, there was some reality behind the story. When the fairies throw their heads around in Labyrinth. I love that film, but that part scared the shit out of me, and even as an adult it's pretty creepy. And now I'm picturing several Guy Fieri's throwing their heads as they invite you to Flavor Town. On this very night, 10 years ago, along this same stretch of road in a dense fog just like this, I saw the worst accident I ever seen. There was this sound, like a garbage truck dropped off the Empire State Building. And when they finally pulled the driver's body from the twisted, burning wreck, it looked like this. https://i.gifford.com/31.gif. All of the mini-series Chernobyl. Radiation is absolutely terrifying, but a shitty government's response and cover-up is just as scary. Chernobyl is horror to me, lol. Me too. My country, even though 2,000 kilometers away, was one of the ones hit with the worst fallout. And have to do radiation testing for agriculture for probably decades to come. Those firefighters and liquidators who gave their lives to clean up, saved our lives too, and I didn't even fucking know until I saw the series. All I remembered was not being allowed to play outside at 5 Suffice to say, I lost some sleep after seeing the series. Large March. This is the first thing that popped into my head. The transformation of Smeagol into Gollum. No, Denethor eating tomatoes. I had an easier time watching Shelob stick her giant arachnid pincer into Frodo's body and him frothing at the mouth before she wraps him up in her filthy web to make a hobbit burrito than watching Denethor chomp down on those cherry tomatoes. The Wheelers from Return to Oz always creeped me out. That movie should absolutely be filed under horror. Brave Little Toaster. When the storm blows through. Since I was raised in a tense household, the whole air conditioner losing his cool was much more frightening. It's my function. Any scene from Inception where Mal shows up. I have such a crush on Marion too that it made it even more spooky emo. She was terrifying. Also, anytime the dream people just stopped and stared at the main characters. It gives me this awful feeling between awkwardness and horror. The Judge Tomb scene in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. When I killed your brother I talked just like this. When the Queen transforms into the old hag in Snow White, at least as a kid I was petrified and had to close my eyes during that scene. The stair scene in Parasite. If you've seen it, you know which one. Fuck dude, I forgot about that. Now I'm going to be thinking about it in bed later. The TV scene from Signs. Greater Than Signs, the birthday party scene. Holy shit. I've never felt that ice pick in the stomach feeling until that moment in that movie. The man behind Winky's Diner https://u2.b/uoshu0dt40 in Mulholland Doctor. That part is fucked up, but what about the woman in the bed that they go in to see? That part stays with me. When Bilbo just randomly turns into a golem-like creature and lunges at Frodo, edit, not Bilbo. r/scary Bilbo, the bunny from Donnie Darko. Why are you wearing that stupid man suit? When Hal is reading the astronaut's lips in 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's just so fucking cold and calculating. For me it's when he turns off the life support for the guys in stasis. You see their life signs get all wonky, and he's just staring, not feeling a thing. So goddamn creepy. Or when he locks the guy out and uses the robotic arm to fling him off into space, and he just tumbles away with no hope of getting back to the ship. Titanic. You think you're watching a tragic romance between two fictional hot people? No. You're watching the tragic real-life story of 1,500 people who died for real in one of the most terrifying ways imaginable. Nicolas Cage. The child snatcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is something I've never been able to get over. Horrifying. Coraline. The whole other mother/alternate reality/brainwashing thing was terrifying. Honestly, I've always thought of that movie as one of the rare animated horror films for kids, along with Monster House and some others. At the end of Never-Ending Story when Artu is talking to that wolf thing. I watched that movie a lot as a kid, even though I found a lot of the fantastic characters to be very unsettling, including the flying dog, which if I remember right, they called a dragon, but come on, that's a dog, and especially the turtle or turtle-looking thing in the swamp. Any movie where the driver is looking at the passenger for an unrealistically long time while the vehicle is motion. R.I.P. Paul. In the first Incredibles movie, a lot of the darker aspects really flew over our heads. Gazzabeam was one of the superheroes seated front row at Bob and Helen's wedding. When Bob is being chased by Syndrome into the cave underneath the waterfall, he finds the skeleton of Gazzabeam at the bottom. Bob even uses Gazzabeam as a shield to avoid detection from Syndrome. He had to use his dead friend as a shield. Not a scene in the movie, but you can Google the DVD extras where it gives the bios of all the superheroes. Namely, the scene when Edna Mode is chiding Bob about capes. There's a flashback where one of the supers gets sucked into a jet engine, foreshadowing Syndrome's fate. However, if you read her bio, she was ~16 a teenage high schooler. For some reason I recall her being 16, but the bio info doesn't specify. She was a child, who met her end by getting torn apart in a jet engine and thrown into a flashback scene meant to mildly amuse the audience. Link, https://static.wiki.net/pixar/images/b3/strategale.png/revision/latest/scale to width down /340 CB=201 808 25232 559.